I've had a lot of musician friends come up to me this year and say they want to write a political song, a protest song. And I get it. Right now, we're living in crazy times of political and social upheaval. And as a musician and songwriter, it is only natural to want to express these frustrations into song. Nowadays, you see people like Jesse Wells with just an acoustic guitar and a low quality camera going out into the world singing these songs and having their lyrics and their words resonate with people. But as commonplace and as pressing as these songs are, writing a good protest song, a song with a message, can be extremely hard to write because you're not only balancing making a good song, you also have to have a good message and not come off as preachy or cringy or overbearing, ideally. So today I'm going to show you how you can do exactly that. We're going to discuss the songwriting process to how to write a good protest song. Now, me personally, I have also felt this pull to write this kind of music, specifically to bring back an era of folk and protest music in the vein of Bob Dylan, an art that seems to have been lost over the years and is now resurging. I've done this with my brand new EP, The Great Divide, and today we're going to be discussing the first song on the album, American Spirit, which is the most overtly protesty, political song on the record. It's a 2-minute song. It would be helpful for you to listen to the whole thing before continuing the video, but it's not necessary because I'm going to break down the lyrics as we go along. I'm going to play a snippet for you, and then we're going to get deep into the lyrics, the songwriting process, and how I crafted a song like this, and how you can as well.
They sell American spirit, blow the smoke straight in our eyes. It's easier to believe it than choke on the lie.
So my song American Spirit started with the central concept, which is American Spirit. I keep a list of words that I think would be potentially good song titles in a notes app, and one I had more recently written down was American Spirit. And I particularly like this because of the double entendre nature of the word. When I was thinking of it, I'm thinking of the popular cigarette brand, American Spirit, which has, very popular cultural iconography. It's a very known brand, but of course, cigarettes are bad for you, as we know. And then I'm also juxtaposing that idea with the idea of American spirit, patriotism, nationalism, something that is very prevalent right now. And I want to play off those two ideas with lyrical imagery and metaphors that would reflect this. So for me personally, I think having a single word or an idea or a theme is an essential starting point. Like, I wouldn't just go into writing a song, seeing what comes out. For me, I think, at least when it comes to a protest song, you want to have a very clear-cut idea. And my central idea with American Spirit was this idea of the illusion of the American dream, the illusion of American spirit, how that this nationalism and patriotism is actually the death of us. So I started with the lyric, "They sell American spirit, blow the smoke straight in our eyes." Again, we're immediately using the double entendre to our advantage, where if we're talking about the cigarette, literally they're blowing smoke. And if we're talking about patriotism, we're talking about how it's blinding us. Now, the next two lines are, "It's easier to believe it than choke on the lie." For the longest time, these were not the lyrics I had. They were, "They sell American spirit, blow the smoke straight in our eyes. It's easy to believe it if you're blinded by pride." Again, playing into the idea of smoke blinding you. But this line never sat well with me. And the reason for that is because when I'm saying it's easy to believe it when you're blinded by pride, I feel like it's putting the blame on the listener, on the general public, the populace, for believing this, when I don't think that's the case. What I'm really trying to say is that we've been tricked into believing that patriotism and pride is a good thing. One thing I mentioned in the intro was a good tenet to follow by when writing a protest song is not to sound preachy. And while I'm not saying that you have to appeal to the large audience or that you should be afraid of alienating certain people, in the specific case of this song, again, I want to express more that it's not about us, the general people being pitted against each other left and right, but I want it to be more about how it's us versus them in terms of the corrupt, the powerful, pulling all the strings and making us, fight for no reason, basically. So I never liked that line, even as the whole song was finished, even as I was recording it. And so finally I settled on, "They sell American spirit, blow smoke straight in our eyes. It's easier to believe it than choke on the lie." And I think that's just a lot stronger in terms of reinforcing the central ideas that I want to put forth, and also the imagery of choke on the lie. It just feels a lot more powerful and vivid to me. The next line is, only when you stop to clear it do you see past the disguise. By then, you're addicted. Can't quit it if you tried. Again, playing into that idea of cigarettes, the addictive quality, the nicotine aspect of it, in the same way that patriotism can be addictive. That whole section of lines, that first verse or intro, whatever you would call it, that all came together basically right away, besides the 2 lines that I ended up swapping. But that was my core idea for the song, and I think that expressed the main intention that I wanted to put forth. Again, the reason I was able to do this so quickly and put together is because I had this central idea. I had this word, American spirit. I had the larger theme of disillusionment with the American dream and this unhealthy obsession with national pride. And I made the lyrics reflect that theme. From there, it goes to the main sort of refrain, which is, so it goes on and on and on. So it goes on and on. Sounds like this.
So it goes on and on. Oh.
And this is kind of, I guess, the pop part of the song, the catchy part of the song. I don't think protest songs inherently need to be catchy. It's just wired in my brain to be so. And it's this kind of memorable hook that everyone can sing along to, chant along to, which again, I think is another key aspect of a protest song. Have a part that is easily repeatable, that people can sing along to, chant to. Can it become an anthem for the people? In the second verse, I kind of shifted a bit to a different aspect of the illusion of the American dream and how patriotism can blind us to the realities of what's going on, specifically talking about the myth of 9 to 5s and working and moving up in the world and climbing the corporate ladder, so to speak. This part in particular was especially poignant to me because as a musician, someone who is self-employed and has worked in the 9 to 5 in the Wall Street sphere and all of that stuff, knows how it can be to your detriment, and basically emphasizing the idea of how hard it is to just work and work and work just to try and survive and keep your head above water, which I know a lot of Americans are feeling right now. So lyrically, we start with, when work becomes religion and you pray 9 to 5, there's not much time for thinking, just trying to survive. Again, that really sums up the entire idea I just told you about in a lot less words in a more concise manner. I liked the idea of comparing clocking in to work every day, going into your office as sort of being at a temple, being at an altar, like work is becoming your religion, you're breathing and living it. The next lines are, it's not your own volition, it's this way by design, become the product of ambition, but reap none of the prize. I want to emphasize that everything is perfectly curated and designed to keep you in line. And right now, you see all over social media and just in general this grind set, hustle mindset, which I've definitely and continue to fall victim to. All these people saying, oh, you need to put in these hours, you need to be working your ass off and you'll climb and it will pay off and all this stuff. You spend all your time working at this company, helping this company grow, and then the CEO is the one making millions and millions of dollars where you can barely afford to survive, touching upon that keystone of wealth inequality, I guess. So we're tackling a lot of themes here, but we're doing it in a concise, succinct manner that I think conveys the message and the illusion, again, of the American dream quite well. I think traditionally a song like this would have a lot more verses, something more to the effect of like American Pie or something, but I felt like this would get stale to the listener. I thought having a third verse of the same chords, of these same sort of melodies, would be kind of exhausting. And to be honest, I couldn't quite think of another sort of stanza that would enhance my idea. I felt like most of what I'd wanted to say had already been said. So I felt it was time for a change of pace. So I introduced a bridge. This brings in new chords and new ideas. It's kind of almost the counter to everything that has been said already, is meant to be, I guess, the hopeful part of the song. I sing, they're preaching it's the end of times all over the news. Don't believe the great divide, they just want to split the room. The truth is they're terrified of what we might do if we all united and then decided we're done with their rules. We won't go on. So even though everything I've said up to this point has been kind of depressing in the song, kind of felt hopeless, I really wanted to make an anthem that did have hope in it. And while this song in particular talks about a lot of the issues going on right now in the world, the greater EP, The Great Divide, is actually more so about the illusion of the Great Divide, or at least the illusion that, us on either side of the aisle maybe can't get along, whereas my central thesis is more, it's the people up there that we should be against, those billionaires, those corrupt politicians. That's who we need to be fighting, not each other. this illusion of the Great Divide that the media is perpetuating. Those sort of ideas I wanted to address in the song. As someone who has worked in journalism and absolutely hates the state of mass media and mainstream media right now, I just hate the fear mongering that you see on TV, all of these attempts to pit us against each other. And that was mainly the purpose of the bridge, was to dispel this myth and say, hey, they want us to be at each other's throats, because they know if we all got together, united, and said, hey, we're done with these systems of power, these corrupt systems that be, then we would actually be able to make the change we want to see in this world. And then a key point here is that instead of saying, so it goes on, I say, we won't go on. This idea of breaking the cycle. So same melody as so we won't go on, but repeating the refrain with we won't go on. I think this becomes the ultimate chant, the ultimate anthem, and the ultimate idea of this song, being fed up with how the status quo is and wanting to make change. So those are all the lyrics from my song, American Spirit. I think the keys to writing a good song are starting with a clear central idea, really knowing what it is you want to say, and finding out the best, most concise and relatable ways to say it. Ultimately, speak your truth and you can't go wrong. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you the best of luck on your songwriting journey. Can't wait to hear what comes out of this. If you like this kind of music, want to hear more like it, check out my new EP, The Great Divide. American Spirit is the first song on it, and if you like that, there's a bunch of other songs like it that I think you'll enjoy. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day. See you next time.
They sell American spirit, blow the smoke straight in our eyes. It's easier to believe it than choke on the lie. Only when you stop to clear it do you see past the disguise. By then you're addicted, can't quit it if you try. So it goes on and on.